We believe it's so important to be anticipating the next move. I would also say on the beginnings of a ETF Bitcoin, we believe ETFs are a technology no different than Bitcoin was a technology for asset storage. We believe the next step going forward will be the tokenization of financial assets. And that means every stock, every bond will have its own, basically, CUSIP. It'll be on one general ledger. Every investor, you and I, will have our own number, our own identification. We could rid ourselves of all issues around illicit activities about bonds and stocks and digital by having a tokenization. But the most importantly thing, we could customize strategies through tokenization that fits every individual. We would have instantaneous settlement. Think about all the costs of settling bonds and stocks. But if you had a tokenization, everything would be immediate because it's just a line item. And so we believe this is a technological transformation for financial assets. I believe if you want to talk about voting and voting choice and all the things, if we know every moment who is the owner of that stock and it's now time to vote, every individual who has ownership is identified and they can vote.
Tesla, Microsoft, Google, and NVIDIA are all competing in robotics. These tech companies are well positioned with expertise in things like computer vision, cloud computing, and of course, AI. All of that can be leveraged in robotics, and huge leaps recently in generative AI are helping this robotics space advance. One leader here is Amazon. It's the largest manufacturer of industrial robots in its fulfillment centers. Amazon has been at this for about a decade. It's helped reduce cost and increase speed with more than 750,000 robots assisting with about 75% of orders at this point. Amazon may also compete with what Apple is reportedly planning for in-home robots. Amazon's version is called Astro. There's still a wait list. It's worth noting Amazon's M&A strategy here in robotics has hit a wall. Its effort to buy iRobot, maker of Roomba, was blocked by regulators. The larger battleground, guys, beyond these smaller in-home projects is something called humanoid robots, like the name suggests. These are those machines that walk and sometimes talk like people. Goldman Sachs estimates it could be a $38 billion market at some point. Musk in this race. Tesla's Optimus robot has been a key priority for the CEO. On a recent earnings call, Musk said it has the potential to be more significant than Tesla's vehicle business even.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And you know I come back with that video just to make you think.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
And make sure you're joining the Patrons. If you're not a part of the Patrons, make sure you're hitting the Cash App. And we have Larry Fink's BlackRock adds Goldman Sachs Citigroup Citadel as an authorized participant to the Bitcoin ETF. And guys, we see the same banks and market makers that are in the legacy market are in crypto. And guys, we know they've been in crypto from the beginning. They've been funding crypto from the beginning. And now we're seeing the takeover right in front of our eyes. Remember, Bitcoin was supposed to replace the banks. At least that was the narrative that they were selling, and it was genius. But really, it was all about the fourth industrial revolution. They know they have to tokenize everything in order for the machine takeover to happen. And the fourth industrial revolution is definitely right around the corner because we see all the technology is ready to go. And we have the Magnificent Seven. All of them are in the bot takeover. AI and robots. And they've been getting ready for over a decade. And guys, we know 10 years is the manifestation period. The only thing the NWO needs is that crisis in order to bring on this technology. And we know they have technology behind the curtain that would blow our minds. And we have the Baltimore Bridge should be halfway up by the end of this month. And guys, there's a lot of suspicious activity that's going on. And I'll be doing a Patreon video on that, just a short one, about 2 to 3 minutes, probably early morning on Monday or late Sunday before the eclipse. But there was a lot of moving pieces that were going on, but those dots are starting to connect. Now we have the Fed this week out speaking. And now some of the Fed members are saying no rate cuts or even maybe a hike. And guys, that should just let you know a crisis is right around the corner. We know this economy cannot take a rate hike. And then on top of it, can't even take the rates we have right now. Over $1 trillion just to service the debt. And we know the small and medium-sized banks are being destroyed. Commercial property is being destroyed. And when you look back, the crazy part about it, they did all this within a 4-year period. It is amazing how quick you can change people's habits and mind frame. But that's the reason why they're called the sheep. And we know by the time they wake up, the robots, algorithms, and drones would have taken over the economy, and they'll be in the metaverse. And then we have Janet Yellen in China, and they're all black. And we know why she's wearing black. We know China's not a part of the crown, but they're definitely about to be the NWO. She has no reason to be over there, but we know the takeover. The fourth industrial revolution rises in the east. And remember, the crypto teacher told you, because he knows when it comes to the NWO, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
But we also know that the calamity was not just human; it was also economic. This is one of the most important ports in the entire country. One of the most important maritime vehicles that America has. The Port of Baltimore is responsible for $70 billion of economic activity, employs tens of thousands of people, 900 businesses rely on the Port of Baltimore. And so when you're seeing now an unprecedented maritime disaster where you have a ship that is the size of the Eiffel Tower and the weight of the Washington Monument that is now sitting in the middle of the Patapsco River with a bridge on top of it and about 27,000 tons of debris in the water, this is not just dangerous. It's not just a complicated operation, but it's one that we know doesn't just have an impact on Maryland, but has an impact on the larger American economy as well.
The disaster, and then move beyond that to try and rebuild the bridge.
You're absolutely right. When you add on complications of not just debris and wreckage that is in the water, our divers cannot see any further than a foot or two in front of them because of the amount of debris in the water. But you also have the issue of weather and wind, which also complicates it. Now, we have been working, this has been an operation and a unified command that's been working literally 24/7, working with the U.S. Coast Guard, the Army Corps of Engineers, the Navy SUPSOLV, and also local leaders and local elected officials, the Maryland State Police. And we just received word from the Army Corps of Engineers that they believe that within a month, we can open up at least a channel of a 35-foot depth, which is a significant milestone because that's what's necessary for things like new cars and heavy trucks, where the Port of Baltimore is the largest port for new cars and heavy trucks in this country. And then hopefully within a month after that, we'll be able to open up to the fuller 50-foot depth. But we know that is going to be an all-hands-on-deck, 24/7 operation for us to be able to hit those type of timelines, but it's one that we're prepared to take on.
Went to court to try and limit their liability to something like $43 million. That come as a surprise or a concern?
It's not a surprise. We were expecting it. We're prepared for it. I know there needs to be a full and a thorough investigation, but I also know this. If people need to be held to account for what happened on that day, they need to be held to account and they need to be responsible for it. So we know it's an active investigation. We would like to see a speedy process with that investigation. And while we're not surprised on the ask for the limited liability, I know the thing that we urge is there needs to be accountability for what happened that night.
More hawkish talk from the Fed. Lori Logan, the Dallas Fed president, saying it's much too soon to think about cutting interest rates. She goes on to say she sees meaningful risk to continued progress on inflation coming down, though she says a benign path for inflation coming down is still possible. She needs this uncertainty resolved about where the path is going before she'd consider cutting interest rates. The FOMC should be prepared, she says, to respond if inflation stops falling. That's obviously a hint to possibility of maybe the Fed either not cutting or even raising interest rates.
We're providing tax subsidies to some of these sectors, and I wouldn't want to rule out other possible ways in which we would protect them.
Going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
But every stock, every bond, every currency, every commodity, every piece of art, every private business, every piece of real estate will eventually be a token on a blockchain, an entry on a ledger, permanent and immutable. We will have truth instead of trust, and we will save over $7 trillion a year. 6 to 8% of global GDP is wasted by the friction of the trust industry that's necessary when you have dual entry accounting. With triple entry accounting, which is what a blockchain is, we get rid of all of that friction. It's a beautiful future.
Like what you see in China and their social credit scoring systems, right? If we get identity wrong, it could be a tool to enslave humanity. And if we get it right, it could be a tool to liberate humanity. And as an American, I'm obviously rooting for the one that's on the side of freedom.
Bitcoin is an international asset. And also, I do believe the role of crypto is, it's digitizing gold. I actually believe this technology is going to be very important. Look at it. We have been part of the huge revolution in investing through ETFs. We believe that ETFs will be changing the whole way we invest. Many people still use it as a means, people are investing it for indexing. No, the majority of people who are putting money in in ETFs are active investors that are buying exposure. The entire bond market is being transformed as we talk right now. I believe the next generation for markets, the next generation for securities will be tokenization of securities. And if we can have that distributed ledger that we know every beneficial owner, every beneficial seller, we all have our code of who's buying, who's selling, instantaneous settlement. And think about it, it changes the whole ecosystem.
Chinese bank ICBC has been hit by a ransomware attack, and the U.S. Treasury market, as a result of that, has been disrupted. This, according to the Financial Times. We're getting at more right now with Bloomberg's Shonali Bassick. Shonali, what do we know?
Listen, we have the Financial Times now reporting that ICBC, one of China's largest banks here, was hit with a ransomware attack. And remember, they're a very significant intermediary in the Treasury market. The SIFMA has told its members that this has been part of the reason here that the system is kind of clogged up, if you will, during that auction that we saw a little bit before. The attack had prevented ICBC, according to the Financial Times, from settling Treasury trades on behalf of other market participants. A large executive at a major bank also telling the paper that such a large party on the fixed income clearing corp creates major concerns, potentially impacting the liquidity of Treasury markets.
Now, it was not just a poor auction. It was absolutely lousy, and when the dealers have to step in to save a treasury auction, that's a rare occurrence. And
very much a traditionalist. I like staying with the dollar. You know that from when I was there. It's make the dollar the choice. I hate when countries go off the dollar. I would not allow countries to go off the dollar, because when we lose that standard, that will be like losing a revolutionary war. That will be a hit to our country, just like losing a war. And we can't let that happen. And too many countries now are fighting to get off the dollar. And
Cryptoteacher and the new Road Auto book, plus the 3 Kids books, It's Time to Re-Educate. Also, new to cryptos, Coinbase, Bitrue, Binance. Do not forget book links and crypto links are in the description. The stock channel, guys. Don't forget to go like, subscribe, spread everywhere. You have your Kobo, your chip stocks, your banking, your gaming. While everybody's sitting at home, get home stocks, the Seaver, the biotech stocks. And while everybody's at home wishing they were still getting that free money, what are they doing? drinking and smoking weed. Don't forget about those stocks, and you have a wonderful day. The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, you know I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids' books. You know I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save New York from COVID stories 3. Part 3. King Joshua and Grandma Tam goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.